I'd like to call this meeting of the Southbury Planning Commission to order, special meeting on February 5th, 2025, 5:45 at Town Hall. Let's see, would everyone join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, seating of alternate seats here. That's here. We're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll see Mary tonight. That sounds good. Since Mary's here. And all right, special meeting. Let's see. Zoning Commission 8-3 referral petition to amend B-3 C zone to accommodate PDD number 24. Yeah. Okay, Cap, you're all set. Sure. Is that button pushed so it's on? Green light. Green light.
Got it.
Okay, there we go. Nice.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Bennett, Bennett Sullivan Associates, architects and planners representing 333 Main Street South LLC. We're here tonight with our architects, traffic engineer, and civil engineers. And basically, I believe that after our last meeting, this is questions and response from the commission to clarify anything for you to produce your resolution for the zoning commission. So I'm going to start off with our traffic engineer who came up from Queens, New York, who I want to be able to let her get through what she needs to do so she can get back on the road and get home. So if you could, Ariana will basically address, she watched all the video and she'll be able to address the questions that you brought up, and then you can give any further questions, comments, or concerns that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. My name is Ariana, and I work for Kimley Horn, who is the firm that are the consulting for the traffic services for this project. The project engineer, Mr. John Canning, I worked with him on this traffic study, but unfortunately he will not be available tonight. So I'm here in his stead just to go over the methodologies, our findings, and hopefully answer any of your questions to the best of my ability. So our traffic study presented to you, it went based on standard engineering practices that are accepted federally, statewide, as well as various local municipalities and agencies. And when we're doing our traffic studies, the first thing we have to do is really look at the existing conditions. And how we identify the existing condition of what the traffic is like on the roadway is that we put up counts. We do cameras to count the vehicles moving around the intersection. And I believe we did it at Denmo's Driveways intersection with Main Street South. We put up cameras there to count how many vehicles were passing through. And we counted during the busiest periods in the morning and the evening to identify the peak hour. And the peak hour is the busiest hour it would ever be in the morning, the busiest hour it will ever be in the afternoon. So we got those counts, we reduced them, we identified the peak hour. So that's how we established our existing conditions. We then looked at the Connecticut DOT. They have these things called different count stations set up all around Connecticut. And so we looked at their traffic monitoring website just to gauge if we got the peak hour correct, at least look at the volumes to see if they somewhat relate. There were no count stations on the same block of Main Street that the project is in, but the closest one was about a bit south of the Main Street intersection with Peter Road and Oldfield Road, I believe. So we looked at that to just gauge if we were in the same ballpark. And then just an example, looking at the busiest peak hour, which was the PM, had a lot more volumes. We counted around 1,272 vehicles moving through that intersection. And Connecticut DOT reported 1,330 vehicles. So we knew that we were in the correct ballpark for the existing conditions. So after we establish the existing conditions, those volumes are then grown by a certain percentage per year until we reach the build year for this project, which was 2027. The percentage we grew that by was 1.6%, and that was given to us by Connecticut DOT. We had contacted the town previously to see if there are any major developments in the area that will probably affect the traffic patterns in the future, and they reported no major developments, so none of that was added to the 2027 no-build volumes. And that kind of just sums up what we believe 2027 traffic volumes will look like in the future. So after we establish what this no-build condition is, we have to now figure out what will 2027 look like with this development. And to figure that out, we have to first identify what the project-generated traffic will be. So using what is known as the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE, trip generation manual, which is used federally, statewide, and different local municipalities, we use that database to identify how many vehicles are projected to be generated by this development. And the ITE uses driveway counts collected from all over United States, from several different developments, all of them different land uses, to calculate an equation or an average based on your specific development use. And as presented, this development is a mixed use, so there were 2 different land uses we had to look for. So we did our analysis based on the 40 residential units in a mid-rise multifamily development. And then we also did a separate analysis based on the 8,000 square feet of commercial space. So once that's been identified, all of that is added to what we believe the 2027 no-build traffic volumes will be, and that is our build condition. All those volumes are inserted into a software called Synchro that provides us with the intersection capacity, so what the different delays, what the drivers might think the condition of the road is. That's called the level of service, so it's from a driver's perspective, and it gives us a level of service from A to F. A, B, and C are widely considered to be good, so that's free and stable flow of traffic. And that basically sums up our methodology and how we came to the different conclusions. I'm going to pause for any questions on our methodologies. Yes.
Was there any consideration given for the fact that that a certain percentage of the population goes south or goes on vacation when it's really, really cold here in the Northeast?
No, because when we are doing traffic studies, we try to look typical, the norm. So when we did our study, it was a typical day. So schools were in sessions, there were no holidays, no major events, and the weather was clear with little to no rain in the forecast, because that is the norm for majority of the year. We don't do analysis based on the one-off events in the holiday times or such forth.
Worst case scenario.
Yes. Any other questions before I move on? Okay. The counts were done in March 27, 2025, on a Thursday.
I believe that was the SLR calculations, that wasn't this traffic report. That was our own consultant. Just make sure you get your money.
Okay.
We're good.
Any more questions before I move into our findings? No?
I do. When you talk about
Yes.
federal and state norms,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Southbury is unique.
Mhm.
Because we do have Heritage Village, 40% of our population, and they do go south for 4 months a year, it changes. also, your timing too, with the school is on the hours outside of your count. They line up every day for the school, just a few lots down, less than a quarter of a mile. Was not in the time frame of your count. Also, there is another change that happens because our counts changed with the theater times. Changed dramatically. Yes? Sorry. Okay, so we have uniquely Heritage Village, the theater, the school, that have to be, which makes Southborough unique, so maybe the norm for Connecticut DOT and the norm for this federal, what is the name of the federal program?
It's just federal-wide, just
Say, what?
just United States-wide. That's just it.
What is the name of it?
Just the Institute of Transportation Engineers.
So those where the norms came from, the Institute of Traffic Engineers and Connecticut DOT?
Yes.
Thank you.
If I could, Kevin Bennett, still here for the applicant. We also did these traffic studies in the morning and the afternoon, Nance, because that's when the people will be coming and going. The times that you talked about would be more during the day and in the later evening for the theater, but the villagers are mostly around, in the midday, so, and the school as well, when they're back up in the afternoon. It's around
Exactly.
2:30.
Exactly, and with 40 units, maybe 2 cars a unit.
But I'm just saying, those units will probably be leaving in the morning and coming home in the evening with more or less working people. We found that in our apartments. Most
This
of
is
the people go out in
The
the morning.
apartments are, this is Main Street. That's different.
No,
And
our
there's
apartments
commercial also.
are all the same people that are gonna be living. They go out in the morning, they come back in the evening, for the most part.
And the timeframe.
Mary, you have a question? Your microphone, there you go.
I have a question. On your analysis that you've been doing, not on only this project, but other projects, what's your success rate of being accurate?
Of being
Get what I'm
accurate,
saying?
I'm not 100%, honestly. Because once again, these are all anticipated. And when we are looking at, for instance, the project generated, these are 20 plus, 80 plus developments that already exist, and these are their actual driveway counts. So I would say it's fairly average. Yes. Any more questions?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Oh, Robin does, sorry.
I have a question. Well, it doesn't pertain to traffic, so I'll hold it then.
Okay. So I'll delve into the results of this study. In the interest of time, I'll just focus on the PM because that's when the majority of traffic is that we found in the existing conditions. So when I'm talking about the peak hour and stuff, just know I'm talking about the PM time. So our results indicated that there were approximately 1,272 vehicles in the afternoon peak hour. And then when we did our no-build analysis, we predicted that in 2027, there will be 1,286 vehicles. When we were looking at how much traffic this project might generate, I believe, let me find that project, page 6. When we are looking at the project-generated traffic, as I said, we looked at different uses. The first one was the residential component with the 40 units. And looking at the peak hour, which is the 1 hour period when the development is expected to create the most trips for people entering and both people leaving. That's what the peak hour specifies. And it says that in the PM, this residential development will have 16 total vehicles related to the residential development used in that driveway in the PM. That's what it means. That's what it's saying. And I know a lot of times it is expected to believe that 2 vehicles will be per household, but that's not really the norm. And even so, even if there are 2 vehicles in the household, that doesn't mean that everyone is leaving at the same time. People could be coming home earlier to miss the evening rush. People could be coming home later to miss the evening rush. So this is just the max amount of vehicles that will be in this driveway related to the residential development, 16. Yes.
Is that worst-case scenario
Yes, this is the worst-case scenario, 16 vehicles.
out of 80 potential cars, which is our worst-case scenario,
Plus the retail.
plus the retail, yeah. Okay.
No, this is just specific to the residential. I haven't touched the retail yet. Okay.
Let me make a comment on that also. When this study was done, we've modified the apartment counts. Right at this point in time, we're at 34 apartments. Her study was based on 40 apartments, so it is 6 units less.
Okay. So,
Maybe you can just condense, just for time-wise, just condense it a little.
Okay.
Get right to the residential and
the commercial.
keep the commercial together and kind of just give a,
Okay.
quick overview. of
So
kind
in total, it was 53 counts that will be using that driveway. So there's going to be dispersed both north and south of Main Street. So no more than maybe 32 vehicles will be added to either intersection, and that's just 1 vehicle per 2 minutes. And in the analysis, when we put all of this into Synchro, it indicated that it's good traffic operating conditions on Main Street South. Both the northbound and the southbound will be operating at LOSA, which means it's free flow traffic. There are little to no delays. And with the Denmo's driveway, it is operating at LOSC, so that's stable flow, 19.5 seconds in delay. And compared to what we predicted in 2027 no-build condition, that's just 3.3 seconds more. So people who are in those Denmo's driveway are not gonna be perceiving 3.3 seconds of waiting time in the no-build condition, in the build condition when this project is developed. And in reality, as you can see, we have a LOS of D, but this is tied to the site driveway itself, so this is just project traffic. It will not be affecting the public whatsoever. So it's all confined to the internal site traffic and does not significantly affect the public roadway operations. And I know we had a question about how the turning out will be going for this driveway. Exiting clearly will be more difficult to make left turns than it is to make right turns, but it will actually be a lot easier than turning left if you were coming out of the Walgreens driveway, because the motorists are considerably further from the traffic light on Old Field Road, and they will clearly have better visibility of approaching traffic because they're on the opposite side of South Main Street. And so the analysis, we ran it, and it indicates that the driveway will only be operating at 20% capacity. So only be handling 20% of vehicles, and that even left-turning vehicles will be able to make those left turns in the peak hour. So the bottom line really is, apart from a few extra trips at the side driveway, the additional traffic associated with this project will be imperceptible.
Mr. Weber?
You just answered my first question in your last statement.
Okay.
So thank you very much. My next and only further question is, do you think it would be beneficial at all for this project if the traffic lights were analyzed and synced on either end of the project to make sure that we have free flow traffic? Your words, not mine.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm really not sure, but this project is barely adding that many trips, so it really wouldn't make any impact. That would be a townwide study, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so the Peter Road intersection, not even a quarter mile? Probably.
That traffic intersection works pretty well. It's more up the road that is really a mess.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, just, you've given your opinion, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I see the numbers here, you know, around the peak hours and what the expectations are. what's the number where it would become excessive? Like, where you would say, okay, this isn't gonna work? Like, at what number new trips or amount of traffic cars would you say you wouldn't recommend this then?
That would be something we would have to put into the software to tell us.
Okay.
Because it varies. There's a lot of different conditions that can cause the level of service to change, whether it's more right turners, more left turners,
Okay.
more through traffic. Like, there's too many variables that would have to be analyzed for me to tell you
Okay,
what is
I'm just
the-
trying to understand, like, the numbers that you have here, where do they fall in a range that's acceptable? You know, if you have 40 new trips during the weekday, is it 43 where it becomes
No,
excessive?
it wouldn't.
or-
It wouldn't be
okay.
that much of a drastic change.
Okay,
no.
so it has to be a real dramatic.
Especially given the amount of delays that you see, it's just like, what, 0.7 or so delays. It will be a good amount of trips that would have to shoot it up to like
where it
a
would
minute
be-
60 or something like that.
Okay, and
so-
then that would be considered excessive.
Correct.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
I think so, right? Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Are there any other questions architecturally or engineering-wise? Ron?
Microphone. Sorry. Keep forgetting. You mentioned that the project was scaled back in terms of residential.
Correct.
Does the 20% still apply?
Yeah, we have on the new plans the actual affordable units, as well as we took into consideration the comment about the affordable units being accessible to parking, elevator, and so we located them towards the lobby of the back of the building, and you'll see that they basically are near to the elevator. So the second floor apartments, you come in, use the elevator, and then they're near to the elevator on the second floor.
He asked you if the 20% was still applicable.
Yes. But you'll see that they're all on there, and they're located on ones and two bedrooms. But it is, I believe there's 7 units, Nate? Yeah.
Kevin, I have a question.
Or 16, okay.
If this was summertime, I probably wouldn't be asking this question, but because we've had so much snow, and I see in some parking lots, there's mounds of snow that now obscure parking spaces, they obscure driveways. Are there places on the site where an excessive amount of snow can be moved and not obstruct any spaces or traffic?
There is some area on it. We are in the snowplow business. We do all our own properties. We haul out of,
Okay.
we have a loader and trucks that, you know, when the piles get big, we dig them up and put them in a truck and we take them and off-site. So this will be the same. But there is quite a bit of, there's enough parking on the site so that if you lose some, it's okay. And there's also areas that it can be piled.
So I had a question, Kevin, about the, for the front of the building, it looks nice, right? The pictures are, it's beautiful. Around the side and the other area, so the other folks on that side of it, the building don't really have the nice facade we have on the front.
You can look at the elevations. They're nice all the way around. It's not as much of the
Right, so my question, or actually, I should say my statement here is, what can we do to have the whole building kind of look that way, so that everyone has a nice appearance of it? I mean, that would be my recommendation back to zoning when we make a referral on this, because it, based on that, it doesn't look the exact same, right? See this? Doesn't look really as nice as the front.
It's all basically like our other buildings with the clapboard and the trim and the windows and the detail. There's just more brick on the front. It's not that the other sides don't look as well. There's just not as much ornate detail.
We still are having the trim work and the board and bath
Yeah.
and everything on the balconies.
We could render the other elevations to let you get a better idea of what it looks like.
I mean, I would think we'd like to see that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think zoning would too, from what I can remember from the aspect of that.
Yeah, but it's not, it's a little hard on the flat elevation to see it. We also have 3D modeling that we could show on the others as well.
Because that's brick on the front that we're seeing there, yes?
Yeah, and there's
Right.
brick on the sides. The side towards 325 basically will not even be seen. It's all,
Pink side, right?
and the back.
Yes.
Yep.
The actual site, Rich, I know very well, and you wouldn't even see it. Once it's built and there's a landscape buffer that's 25 feet off the building.
I think Richard's speaking more to that central area where you have a central parking and the island in the middle, and you get a large mass of those buildings when you're sitting in that area. And from his perspective, if it's not a consistent architectural design, carrying over the changes that zoning worked on to get that front facade at the condition it is right now, it might look like a detraction. So maybe a rendering goes a
I
long way
disagree.
at addressing that. Or maybe the condition or the recommendation from the planning commission is to have a more consistent design, but I believe that's what he's referring to.
The building is consistent all the way around. And we'll show you in a 3D modeling.
So we have brick going all the way around then, you're saying?
I didn't say that.
Well, you said it was
I said
consistent, so.
it's a consistent design all the way around.
So what can we do to spruce up the facade on the sides and everything so it looks good from inside the courtyard? Can we make it look like that?
We can work on that. I'll take a look at it.
Okay. Anyone have anything else on it?
Specifically architecturally, no.
No, an architect, no.
Ron, anything? Robert, anything? Do you want to recommend the traffic study? Stephen, anything? Mayor?
If there's nothing else,
We had just one quick thing, Mary, Nancy wanted to bring up.
Which,
The traffic study. The traffic study.
we can hit
Yes.
that at the end.
the traffic
Either one.
study. The traffic study is dependent upon some national, some state, some, what is this other company too? Where's the traffic? So there's another one that you didn't cite,
She refers to the software.
pardon me?
Synchro?
She refers to a software which is an industry standard.
Yes, I know. My comment is, again, I did comment before, that Southbury is unique. You know that.
I know it very
We
well.
know that. And number one. Number two, we have to look at worst-case scenario. Even 37 units now, or how many?
34.
34. If there are, worst-case scenario, 2 cars per unit, you say that's not
It doesn't work that way, Nancy.
standard. Pardon me?
That would not be our worst case scenario.
That's our worst-case scenario.
That's, when we're doing traffic study, that's not really how the number of vehicles are decided. 2 vehicles per unit is not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is based on a record of data of the same types of buildings, the same types of number of units. They have all this data already and they give us an average, and that will be our worst case scenario.
And when you say they, who are you talking about?
The Institute of Transportation Engineers, that is the industry standard that you use when you're deciding the project generation trips.
That's the federal organization?
The industry standard. Transportation engineers, that is the standard that we use. And we all have to use the same standard to be consistent.
Also, Nance, I have actual buildings that I've watched for the past 9 years as far as the numbers go. I know when you design for 2 cars per unit, you don't get that many. The number of traffic, I've been on these properties sometimes entire days and watched traffic come in and out of them. It's near to nothing. You don't see 2 cars waiting to leave the driveway with 14 units. You see 1 car, and 10 minutes later, you see 1 car, and 10 minutes later, you see one. There's very, very little traffic in and out of these apartments. You have people that don't leave during the day. You have people that leave early in the morning. You have a lot of people that may come and go during the day at different times, but it's not.
Experience with commercial and residential on South Main Street, though?
I have probably the most experience standing out there watching commercial and residential of probably anybody in this room or this town. My life is on Main Street, and these apartment units do not have any traffic really coming in and out of them. So, I mean, what she's saying, I would be hard-pressed to see those numbers ever happen.
Thank you.
That's all.
Sure, Rob, go ahead.
Want to get off traffic for a second?
Microphone, Bob, thanks.
Sorry. And this isn't, it's just a clarification for my own well-being. Inside the courtyard, you've got your storage units for all the apartments.
Correct.
And parking spaces that line up directly in, behind them, in front of them, whichever way you want to
Yeah,
look
I
at
think
it.
there's like 6 feet from the parking to the door.
Yeah, okay. Is there, I don't know what you call those, concrete strips, like wheel stops?
Wheel stops, yeah.
Okay. Is there going to be like wheel stops in front of the parking
Yeah,
spaces?
we could either do that or a curb.
Or something?
Yeah.
Just, and I'm not looking for bollards or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just something, just a
We-
little
we did the-
gentle,
we
I've
did-
gone too far.
We basically did the same thing in the Heritage Courtyard with the units. And they're not used very often. People put stuff in there usually when they move in. People take stuff out.
Forget about it.
Yeah. It's, the Christmas trees in there, the skis are in there, the
Okay.
stuff like that.
And then,
Sidewalk and a curb?
There is a curb and it's 5 feet from the
Perfect.
curb, so,
Great.
to the storage units.
that's quite
Yeah.
a distance then. Okay. My other one is your planting schedule versus your depiction, well, what I saw in the first rendition and now this. Is it fairly close, or is this kind of just
There was an artistic rendering and an actual landscape plan.
kind of what I picked up on? Okay.
It'll look nice.
I guess yes, but for our commissioners, what I want you to realize is that when you look at this picture, if you go to your planting schedule, it's not identical. It still, I think, is going to be good, but it's just, don't go by this and go, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't match up.
Yeah.
So, 'cause it won't.
Well, you're going to see that the whole strip on Main Street is the strip that we've got the landscape in, and then we have the landscape in front of the building and the trees and all. There's going to be quite a bit.
Yeah, no,
only
look, your
just
planting
based
schedule
on
looks good.
The fact you
I
got
just
70
wanna-
feet of,
Make sure everybody knows that we're all on the same page.
it'll be similar to like the Southbury Green. It's got almost that same amount to the first row parking.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Of course, Mary.
You're going to be, I'm not sure, reading everything. You're going to extend the Southbury
Streetscape, yep.
all the way down using those same lighting.
Yeah, I believe a lot of them they're already in. The sidewalk and the lights are in. I believe some of the trees are in. I can't remember now, but whatever it is, we'll make it consistent with all the rest of it.
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts.
How about the lighting in the parking lot?
It's, they're short units. They designed them a little differently than we do, with a lot more shorter lights, if you want to talk to that, Meg.
Hi, Megan Miller with Civil One. We have a prepared lighting plan in the sheet set. The lights are dark sky compliant, which meets your regulations. And on the second sheet, L 1.2, we have the lighting. There's pictures and specifications of what they will look like. They look like the typical type of, light fixtures that you could see in similar commercial developments. The light poles are 12 feet high, and there are also wall packs, which is lighting that is fixed to the buildings on the plan as well. So you'd have lit for safety purposes without spilling over into the adjacent properties. If you look at the plan, you can see where it's a little darker is where it's lit, and where it is like a gray color, that's where it's dark. So it complies with the zoning regulations. And again, these are smaller, 12-foot high mounting is probably short. It's not a stop and shop type of lighting, if that makes sense.
Okay, and if they'll be in accord with the regulations, right?
Correct, yes.
The dark sky regulation, Ron, all down 70%.
Down.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyone else?
Excuse me, I might have missed this. Do you have rooftop recreation?
I'm sorry?
Rooftop recreation, anything on the rooftop?
Soccer games?
On the roof? No.
We do have a roof patio, which would be able to have, if people wanted to go out there and, get some sun or, have a gathering or like that. We took one of the units, when we reduced it, we took off the end, and we have the access from the end of the hallway so people can go out on the roof and have activities. It's pretty nice. I mean, in Florida, every building has them, and, we don't have as much of that up here because of the weather, but, if you get 8 months a year that you can be out there 9 months a year, it's pretty nice. It's south exposure, it's up on the second floor, which is actually the third floor from Main Street, and there's some nice views from up there. And it'll probably be a younger crowd of people in this building. There's also older people in our buildings. But I just meant the younger people will want to use that kind of stuff. Uh-oh.
That was the roof deck you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Does that help you out? Yeah. Okay, excellent. Anyone else? All right, so we want, Jordan wants to, Stephen, go ahead, sorry.
Just one question on parking for the residents. I know I saw somewhere in there that there was a plan for EV charging for the residents. Is that a plan? One of my considerations for that would be that we have businesses nearby, and we wouldn't want a resident deciding to utilize the business's charging infrastructure versus your own. And what's your plan to make sure that the resident EV parking is for them versus customers coming into the commercial space?
Well, we haven't, nailed down exactly, how many chargers. We have them on our other properties, and, some of them get used on the commercial. The residential doesn't seem to use as much. You do get people coming from a home that doesn't have a charger in their home, and they'll charge on the property. It's been one of those things that it's not become an issue, so we don't make a big deal out of it. But yeah, you do have people coming in from outside using chargers on the property. I think we have 14 of them, and some of the residents use them, and some of the general public comes and uses them.
Yeah, I ask because where I work up at Limerock Park, we have a lot of issues with people trying to come in off hours, not customers, et cetera,
Yeah.
to utilize those chargers. And I want to make sure that, one, we protect the chargers, like, for example, at the theater, which can drive business to the theater or the restaurants there. And also, to draw that younger crowd in who may be more looking towards that kind of vehicle, and then, work on getting younger people into our town that way.
Well, no, it's usually people in town that live by will come by, charge their car, and then leave. But they're not overused, that's for sure. Ron?
Back to lighting again. The signage on the buildings, the commercial buildings,
Yep.
is that going to be lit from behind, something over the top? What is the light, what do you anticipate the lighting situation should be?
Well, on our other buildings, we have like a light above that shines back on the sign. Whether they're backlit lettering or not, you know, it hasn't been determined, but I don't think the retail there is gonna be the kind that needs, like, you know, the Southbury Green lighting. It'll be more or less like 316 across the street. There's 8,500, 8,300 square feet of retail. You're not gonna get big places in there. Bob?
Switching gears might be more for the engineer, but wanted to discuss a little bit, if I could get a further explanation on the daily rate of septic tank discharge.
I can answer that one, but.
Oh, okay. Well,
He's gonna give
good.
you the engineering answer, I'll give you. the
Hers is
financial.
stamped.
Well, let's do, for time's sake, because we only have like 20 minutes, not even, so we have
Yeah.
to, okay, thank you.
What specific question do you have about the septic systems? I might be able to help you.
Well, our POCD recommends that we shouldn't go over in excess of 400 gallons per day.
Right.
And then this, I believe, what are we talking about? 2,900 plus gallons per day. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So like, should I be worried because it's such an increase? Shouldn't I be? Give me your thoughts and your official
Yeah,
standing on it.
absolutely. So this plan has been reviewed by the local sanitarian as well as the state sanitarian and the director of health. It is compliant with all health and safety regulations that we are held accountable to, and has been also, like I discussed at the last meeting, there was correspondence between the manufacturer. They have these plans. They didn't bring up any concerns about their product in this location. You're talking, when you're talking about gallons per day, it's by use. So for a retail space, it has a rate. For a bedroom, it has a rate. People in residential are going to be doing laundry. They're going to be running that dishwasher, taking baths. So it naturally has a higher rate. I will speak specifically to this site. Absolutely beautiful material. People would buy this material to install in your septic system in your home. It's gorgeous from an engineering standpoint, and very, very great for accepting higher rates of discharge.
This is an issue that I've had with the state of Connecticut for probably 15 years. They did a rate of 150 gallons per day per bedroom for a septic design. I've got about 60 units that get anywhere from 60 to 70 gallons for a two-bedroom apartment per day. Our last project that we designed at 3,600 gallons a day, we're not getting over 800 gallons a day. We designed this for two septic systems, one in the front and one in the back for the nitrogen dilution as far as spreading it out. The material in there is all bank run gravel, sand. The perk rate was under 1 in 10. It's beautiful material, number one, and number two, it'll be a quarter of the rate that it's designed for.
Okay, Kevin, I read in the plans that there was enough room for a complete relocation if need be. Would that be for both systems? Reserve?
It's a reserve system. So there are two reserve systems, same situation. In the case that this is a suitable location for a septic system, we have one for the top system
And bottom.
and one for the bottom.
Thank you.
Also, Bob, these systems can be dug up and reused in the same place again, so. And we've done that as well over the years, 20, 30 years into it. You dig them up, take them out, clean it up, reinstall them,
Thank you.
use them again.
Anyone else before I get, Jordan, let's just give him a quick overview. We're good?
Good.
Okay. We want to just quickly talk about density of the building. Jordan wants to go through a couple things we talked about, and then I think we should be close to.
Yeah, no, there's a few things I want to talk about.
Yep.
Professional curiosity, Kevin, how did you modify the second round to change the bedrooms from 53 to 52? Was it an increase or just switching things up?
No, it was a misrepresented
perfectly logical. Was it Ariana? Okay. So I have a clarifying question for you, and forgive me for not understanding the Table 3 level of service table. This is the site driveway westbound. You indicate during the AM peak hours a level of service as a C and a PM level of service of D. This is vehicles exiting the property?
Correct.
Looking to enter the Main Street corridor?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. So that, everything that the traffic engineer has asserted to today, I really don't see as refutable. Multifamily housing of this style does not carry a high traffic load, which has been refuted countless times by the traffic engineer. I want to remind the Planning Commission, the whole purpose for us meeting today and receiving this referral is to cut it against the Plan of Conservation and Development as it's related to this plan, and provide feedback to the Zoning Commission, who has to do the ultimate job of rendering a zoning decision on this plan. However, you're the arbiters of the Plan of Conservation and Development. So you all received a memo from me that kind of compared and contrasted this development with that plan. Now, the plan is just that. It's not a regulation, it's not a standard, it is a guideline. So you can almost expect a lot of applicants to present something that isn't gonna be a 100% check all the way down. What you see in this application is there are aspects like density, like size, that within the Plan of Conservation and Development is not recommended. However, the commission has to look at this uniquely because the work that both this commission and the zoning commission did to modify section 12 was to elicit this style of development. What we don't want to see is a developer who sees the merit of a site through the soils and the access to water and decides they're going to get the same number of units and the same number of bedrooms, and they just have to go through the 830G process. We would much rather have an applicant before this commission, working with them, going back and forth in a collaborative relationship, and achieving the best design. That's why the design before you that everyone seems to enjoy has gotten to the position that it is. If this was 830G, none of us would have anything to say about it. That's not to say that that's the direction this is gonna go, but it provides context for the commission to understand that we want to affect change on Main Street, and we want to remain controlled. And although this proposal doesn't perfectly hit the Plan of Conservation and Development in some areas, like density and size, it does hit on other areas, like variety of housing type, providing mixed use, and providing pedestrian walkability right onto Main Street. There are a number of factors. So it's up to this, and affordability. So it's up to this commission to really weigh those pluses and minuses, run a cost-benefit analysis, and if everything jives, you're permitting a positive referral to zoning. If things aren't working, then you're providing context to that commission. If you give a negative referral, the application moves forward, it requires a more strict voting process. So with that all being said, you've all read my memo and you understand the areas that it meets and the areas that it doesn't. If anyone has any additional questions for the applicant related to that, I suggest we ask them. My two clarifying questions and the only concerns and solutions that I can provide to both the traffic study and the stormwater management system. For the traffic study, as I referenced to Ariana, we have a level of service C or D exiting the site. That is not ideal, but what the traffic engineer has asserted is that's just going to affect the on-site property. So that's really not a concern. I bring to the commission the understanding that there are driver mentalities that we do have to take into consideration. When someone is struggling to exit, and they're struggling to exit often smaller gaps are accepted, riskier turns are made, and they grow impatient, right? So we still want to provide a free flow as best we can, because we've all been stuck on this portion of Main Street between Depot Hill and Peter Road during the peak hours, right? It's a cadence of traffic flow that doesn't allow people to exit buildings and businesses very effectively. So with that trouble or challenge in mind, a potential solution is pretty much what Bob alluded to, is the potential of synchronizing those light systems, okay? You go to Depot Hill and you sync it with Peter Road, we can suddenly create gaps in this traffic pattern that previously aren't done. The POCD requires or recommends that all our traffic systems go to camera. Public Works has made that happen. Exit 14 just got done, the state improved that one. Exit 15, to my knowledge, no. However, they're not synchronized. So what you're seeing is when you arrive to a light, it's quicker, it's reacting quicker, but it's not necessarily talking to other lights to create gaps that are necessary for businesses to enter and exit, mostly exit. So there's a potential solution to, frankly, the most concerning aspect of this traffic report. Anything else that you guys want to refute as far as it's going to affect the flow or the level of service on Main Street? It's a multifamily use. What Kevin has said is factual. They leave in the morning, they come back in the evening, and they're relatively not that heavy of a traffic load onto our Main Street. So problem, solution, as far as the traffic studies are concerned, if a recommendation wants to be made, you can address that and send it right back to the zoning commission with that recommendation in mind, and they will take that recommendation into consideration. The other concern I had regarding the stormwater management plan, there aren't many. However, maintenance is a huge requirement that needs to be assessed. So common failures, they clog, sediment buildups, failed outlet controls. Solutions are going to be just that. They're going to be working into any approvals that are received, that inspections scheduled, maintenance plans are legally binding, responsible parties are maintained and clear, enforcement mechanisms are in place so that if anything goes wrong, there's an actual avenue to entice compliance. Certified as-built from the engineer upon construction. If sediment gets compacted too heavily, or if during construction there's a staging area that was improperly placed and we affect the soils of that area, we want an engineer to be on site reviewing this stuff and then certifying to the town that the system is in compliance. It was installed properly and it's gonna work so long as you maintain it. Emergency overflow systems.
It overflows through an outlet control structure
Mhm.
into the town stormwater system, and it has been sized for a 100-year storm event.
It has been sized for a 100-year storm. So apart from our August flooding, the system should pretty well hold up to even the most adverse storm event. These are all the notes I have for the commission. This application is a new one, and it's one that, again, it's a mixed bag. The POCD is saying yes on some counts, it's saying no on others. This commission has to weigh what's necessary and what works for the town. If this structure was being proposed on Peter Road, we have a completely different conversation. That's a residential zone. This is a residential structure, but it's at a scale that, per the POCD, doesn't work for Southbury. This is Main Street. We have 3-story structures on Main Street. We are benefiting from an economic input onto Main Street, and we're getting a huge benefit to our streetscape. I am personally super excited to see patrons walking from this business to every other business on Main Street, to come into town hall and complaining to me about zoning regulations. If they walk from there to there, I'm gonna be elated. These are the comments I have for you. I know we get hung up on the worst-case scenario. The traffic engineer cannot consider worst-case scenarios because we all live here 365 days out of the year, and 15 of those are gonna be the worst. We're never gonna design for that. If we designed for that, this project couldn't move forward because the whole thing would be a parking lot. So with that being said, if the commissioners have any questions for me or my report, I'm happy to answer them.
Anybody? Ron?
Please.
You talked about efficiencies and handling, the project at the very beginning and where they put the load and so forth and so on. Who's going to monitor that?
On-site engineers. Because
From where?
there's staging areas. When you go through a construction proposal,
Yeah.
there's staging areas, you have foundation areas. People understand where operations are gonna go. That's why they do what's called a phasing plan.
So it's an independent body that's going to monitor it.
It's gonna be the engineers on site that are working on this project.
No, not,
And that's who we're gonna be requesting certification from upon completion. And frankly, they're gonna have to represent their license and reputation on the fact that what they're certifying is in fact true. And if it's not, they will correct it.
As architects, we have to certify it. As structural engineers, they'll have to certify it. As the civil engineers, they have to certify it, Ron. We're the ones that are the policemen to oversee it. You know, it's not like, you know, Civil One is gonna say, oh, yeah, that's okay if you track all over the septic area and compact it all down and it won't work, because if it fails, they're in trouble.
Anyone else? All right, just for time's sake here, we got a few minutes. Any questions for Jordan on the summarization? It's pretty straightforward. Everyone understands the downfalls and the good parts of it? Everyone's good with it? All right. I'll make a recommendation to have a positive referral back to zoning for it. On my motion for two things. One, independent traffic study would be helpful. Everyone agree on that? If not, say so. We won't. Make
Yes.
sense?
I agree, yeah.
Independent traffic study? Well,
It's critical.
yep. And then if we can dress up the facade on the sides of the building like we talked about in the courtyard, that.
Talking about another engineer other than that?
We're talking about independent study, another firm just doing a traffic study independently of everything else.
For us to do it or the town?
No, that'll come
Come
from
from the
the town. Fee will be provided to you guys as the applicant for the consulting fee.
Anyone else want to add anything for the motion?
You know, I'd love the scope. Because of the scope and the novelty of the project, I'd like to, two conditions that originally came up.
Okay, so hang on, we got a motion on the table. I mentioned two things. You want to second the motion, and then you can add that?
You can amend the motion.
Yeah, can amend the motion?
Yeah, can I amend the motion?
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'd like to recommend that a third-party consult on this project, just to oversee it, because the scope and the novelty of this, I like the project, but the scope and the novelty and so much going into it, that I'd like to have somebody just look at it.
I will say, Ron, that is not a standard practice. What this commission's role right now is planning for the town. What engineer's role is certifying that the site gets developed properly, and that's where the zoning enforcement officer, through compliance of sedimentation, erosion control, and ensuring that proper management practices are followed, that's where that certification comes. So we,
Right, and they have a civil, and they have a team too as well.
so this is the system that's built into the municipality. We would not be consulting another third party to then oversee that project.
Right. It's-
What about the certified as-built that you recommend?
That, you can absolutely make that a condition. I would recommend making the condition to include the signalization and the maintenance and inspections and enforcement of the stormwater
Okay,
system.
so that will be an amendment to what we've just said.
Well, you're talking about the traffic and?
Yes, talking about the
And the
traffic and
as-built.
talking, yeah.
We talked about traffic already, we talked about the facade of the
Sectorization.
building,
The as-built?
and we're talking about the as-built being certified.
Yes.
That's in the motion. And then the last one was the
Stormwater management,
Stormwater
maintenance,
management.
inspection, and enforcement.
inspection enforcement. Those are in the motion,
And maintenance. yeah.
and maintenance of it, sure. So we just need a second? Anybody?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor to make a positive referral back to zoning? Aye.
Further discussion?
With those,
Further discussion? Okay.
I just wanted to point out, or
Yep.
my personal opinion, love the project. I think this should be the benchmark for future projects that occur on Main Street.
Yep.
I do absolutely love it. I personally, I don't see the benefit of yet again another traffic study. These are a reputable traffic consultant. They've given us their findings. That's just my opinion, and I wanted to put that on record.
Okay.
To dovetail against that, Bob, I think the best improvement Main Street could do right now is
Traffic
synchronization.
light synchronization.
Synchronization.
So,
That would solve a lot of problems. There's
Not-
so many intersections that are not working properly, and I drive through them all day long.
How do we get to that without?
we,
Right.
So how do we go about getting that to happen?
So-
That's the town.
Library and its technology and its coordination of all these lights.
The boss
No,
is sitting
it
over
would.
there.
So the recommendation right now is, as a component of this project, signalization coordination needs to occur. That would fall on the applicant.
So that's provisional for
That would be provisional for the applicant.
I'd like to see the traffic independent, not paid, not, yes. We've done it many times.
Okay, so it's on the
It's
table
not
for
the
that.
first
So
time.
Bob made his bias of that. That's fine. So the motion's still on the table. Anyone want to? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Positive referral sent back to zoning. We should be pretty much done. All right. All right, I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn, because we're right on time for the next meeting. I'll make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Meeting's adjourned.